Helldivers 2 was one of my most anticipated games for this year in a video that I made in early January, and it's really nice to see a lot of people in this past month embrace the chaotic fun of fighting for Super Earth and managing democracy. Helldivers 2 is an online co-op, third-person shooter, and is available on both PC and PS5. Helldivers 1 was actually a top-down twin-stick shooter, and when I heard the announcement of the sequel being a third-person shooter, I was pretty excited that it would appeal to a lot of people, especially those in the first-person shooter genre. And sure enough, tons of people are invested in the community war efforts against the automatons and terminids. At least on Steam, it's consistently hitting a daily concurrent player peak of 300,000 players. I got 50 plus hours on the game, and I've seen my fair share of insects and mechs, and some content updates to understand the current state of the game. You fight for Super Earth, and there is a constant looming threat of both the bugs and mechs slowly creeping towards Super Earth. So it's our job as Helldivers to keep them back in a constant community war efforts. The war map is the same for everyone, and when you help clear a mission on a certain planet, you help the global efforts to liberate that planet. In other words, your small efforts help liberate the planet, which then helps keep the sector free from bugs or mechs disrupting our managed democracy. Basically, you pick a planet, preferably a planet that's part of the major order, but no one is stopping you if you want to fight on the other side of the galaxy instead. Pick your 4 stratagems and you drop onto the planet. The main objective can vary from destroying bug eggs, closing bug holes, escorting civilians, launching a rocket, or defeating a huge enemy. As you go do the main objective, you have a lot of optional objectives to tackle. This can vary from uploading escape pod data, destroying a satellite tower, or even securing an artillery unit. There are even outposts that serve as like enemy spawners that you can destroy to thin out the numbers. And on top of that, there are even resources that you can collect just by exploring. These resources can be samples, which are vital for upgrading equipment, super credits, which is the premium currency, and medals, which is also another currency, but it's for battle passes, similar to Fortnite's. And when you have your fill, after completing the main objective, you can call an extraction and wait until the extraction ship comes down to pick you up. And you do have a time limit to do all this, however. Depending on the mission, it can vary from 10 minutes to 45 minutes before you are unable to call in stratagems or even revive any fallen teammates. So what can you exactly bring into these operations? Your loadout consists of a primary gun, a secondary gun, a grenade, and 4 stratagems. Stratagems are items or abilities that can be summoned onto the battlefield. For example, my stratagems tend to be a rover dog, a railgun, which just got nerfed as I'm typing this out, unfortunately, a 500 kg bomb, and a mortar. As soon as I drop down onto the planet, I immediately punch in the commands to summon my rover dog and railgun, as the rover dog will help me with very weak mobs, and the railgun is useful when I have to deal with like bigger enemies like chargers. I use my 500 kg bomb to clear areas that contains lots of enemies, or just, just see an explosion for fun. And the mortar is there for any defensive positions that I find myself in. There's a whole variety of stratagems that can appeal to any playstyle. There's a supply backpack if you want to hold supply packs for your team in a support role. You can bring 4 different types of turrets and treat it like an RTS game if you want. You can also be a crazed demolitionist and bring only explosions if you really want to. All stratagems have a cooldown, except for a few explosive stratagems. The good ones tend to only have like 2 or 3 uses for the entirety of the mission. It took me about 20-ish hours to have access to all of the stratagems, which isn't bad if it wasn't a live service. After hitting level 25, since that's pretty much when you can just buy anything that catches your eye, there's no real goal in leveling up or looking forward to getting something. Compared to when I was level 10, I was like, oh, I can't wait to get to level 20 so I can use that railgun or whatever. For a live service game, I think level 25 is very early to be the level that feels maxed out. Yes, technically the max level is 50, but is there really a difference between level 25 and level 50 if at both levels you are given the same access to the same progression? There needs to be a longer sense of progression through leveling, since I guess the real difference between like a level 25 and a level 50 is just how much time you put into for the battle pass. Because who likes to level up just for the sake of leveling up? Only Destiny 2 players love leveling up for the sake of, ooh, number goes up. The battle pass is what you typically see in games like Fortnite, except these battle passes do not expire. There is one pass that is available for everyone. There is another pass that is worth 1,000 super credits, which is roughly $10 in the real world. Oh no, another game with a pay battle pass. I get it. Helldivers is a bit different, however. Remember earlier when I said you could collect a good variety of resources on missions? Super credits is one of them. Wait, you can get the premium currency just by playing the game? It'll be kind of grindy, but yes, if you played enough, you could accumulate 1,000 super credits and buy the premium battle pass. But wouldn't that be pay to win still? I mean, I guess, but if we look at the medal requirements to purchase some of these, it's a pretty big amount. To effectively get items in this pass, you would want to do missions in the higher third of difficulties. And let me tell you, they are very hectic and it is no joke. So I guess there is an argument that it is pay to win, but you still need to play in order to get to the front door of even purchasing these items, which in my opinion, just by looking at them, aren't that significant. So for us consumers, I think the way they structure the battle pass is very, very player friendly, and I wish other games follow this type of style. Probably won't happen because free-to-play games like Fortnite need to make money somehow and can't provide service for freeloaders all the time. I think the game is fun because it's not something that you don't see in a lot of games. The transition from Helldivers 1 being a top-down shooter to a third-person shooter now has been seamless. It's been a while since I played the first game, but I remember it being chaotically fun. And the good news is, it didn't lose that in the transition. I honestly think it even got more chaotic since you have crazy visual clutter with explosions and screen shake and things similar to that. I just really feel like I'm in a war. So, Helldivers 2 is fun? Yeah, it passes that check mark. The one worry I have is that once the majority hits level 20, grabs all the gear that they're interested in, and participates in one of the highest difficulties, what else is there to do? Yes, the missions are fun, but are they, let's punch in the code for this nuke mission 50 times? As a live service, I hope they add more enemy races, guns, stratagems, customizations, and such, relatively sooner rather than later. I hope it doesn't turn into like an Among Us, where it was really fun for 3 months or so, but because there was so much you could do with 3 maps they had for so long, people just moved on and didn't look back. Helldivers doesn't have a roadmap, so I'm not entirely sure what they have in mind of how big and how often they plan on doing like content patches. Another thing that I wish they did was show more stats of the weapons. At first, I thought the weapons were very bland. The shown stats only show like very basic things such as like recoil and fire rate. It took me like 25 hours to realize this, but if you hold reload, you can change some settings on your gun, such as the scope range, fire type, and like the flashlight activation thing. There is even a setting on the railgun to go past the safe limit so you could deal more damage and risk of like potentially killing yourself. But this was a huge game changer, but the game never explicitly told me that this was possible. And I also remember like off a blog of some sort, the devs mentioned that there are a lot of hidden stats on each weapon. Why are they hidden? Let me see those stats in the game. If it's to keep it simple and easy to understand, you could always just put a toggle button somewhere to see the extra stats. Because without this, I initially thought that these weapons were lackluster and you should only care about like the weapon type since there was no big differentiation between weapons in the same class. But turns out, these big hidden stats greatly change this. So please make it clear we can change the gun mods in the field, and please show us the hidden stats in in-game. Helldivers 2 is a wonderful game for anyone looking for some chaotic fun. You could tackle these missions solo, with friends, or just random people online. There are cool sets of weapons, items, and gear that you can try out to have a blast with. It supports many playstyles, and working together to achieve a common goal is really fun. Whether it's down to reloading the bazooka for your buddy on a Star Wars-like planet, to, as a community, making sure we liberate an entire planet to ensure the ability to summon our own Titanfall-like mech whenever we want. Yes, it's a live service, but it's not a predatory in its transactions, especially when you can obtain the premium currency with no limit caps of any kind. For only $40, Helldivers 2 is a great experience in leaving Earth and fighting for freedom in the most gruesome and exhilarating way possible. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video if you like this type of content, and if you have any suggestions for any game that you want me to play, you can leave a comment down below or come join the Discord in the link below that I'm active in. See you guys later.